Hi, this is episode number 33, that is 33. Let's talk about timelines. The ticking clock, so to speak. By definition, a timeline is essentially an arrangement of events in order of their occurrence, or a graphical representation of a period of time on which important events are marked. I'll give you a rather practical example. You were born, okay? Then you get to go to the kindergarten. A certain time elapses for this foundation to be accomplished. Then you move on and on up until you get to a higher institution of learning. Then you start setting serious goals about life. When to get married, for example, when to have children, getting a job. It's like a schedule for how and when things will happen in your life. Well, with respect to elapsing time, considering the fact that you're not getting younger, you're aging, unless of course you're moving at the speed of light, or you find yourself by some kind of hocus-pocus in another parallel world where the force of gravity is different. Anyways, let's not lose focus. The gravity and the speed thing is a story for another day. The fact is, you're here on Earth, set by a certain amount of destiny to expire within a certain time frame during which you have faith that your dreams and goals will fulfill. Well, at least that's what most of us think. But what if I tell you that your fate, and of course that of mankind, has been for a long time hanging on a thread? For those who are Christians out there, I'll refer you to Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12 of the New American Standard Bible. It says that there is a way which seems right to a man, but its end is the way of destruction. Welcome to my channel. My name is Victor, the author of the File Soldier series of novels. So let's disambiguate the Doomsday Clock. In any case, it's also spoken of in the Smashing Pumpkins song. The Doomsday Clock is a symbol that represents the likelihood of a human-made catastrophe, global catastrophe, so to speak, in the opinion of the members of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. Maintained since 1947, the clock is a metaphor for threats in humanity from unchecked scientific and technological advances. A hypothetical global catastrophe is represented by midnight on the clock, with the bulletin's opinion on how close the world is to one represented by a certain number of minutes or seconds to midnight assessed in January each year. You recall that in episode number 32, I talked at length about the Manhattan Project and how Oppenheimer regretted his involvement in the creation of the atomic bomb. Well, it turns out that the Doomsday Clock's origin can be traced to the international group of researchers called the Chicago Atomic Scientists, who had participated in the Manhattan Project. After the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they began publishing a mimeograph newsletter and then the magazine Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, which since its inception has depicted the Doomsday Clock on every cover. Now, if you tie in climate change, which of course is caused by mankind, the clock ticks closer to midnight. Its original setting, back in 1947, was 7 minutes to midnight. It has since been set backwards 8 times and forward 17 times for a total of 25 times. The farthest time the clock has been from midnight was 17 minutes in 1991, and the nearest is 90 seconds set on January 24th, 2023. Langsdorff, the wife of Manhattan Project research associate Alexander Langsdorff, chose a clock to reflect the urgency in reflection of basic changes in the level of continuous danger in which mankind lives in the nuclear age. Now, my hope is that the STM doesn't influence the ticking of this clock. Otherwise, the next setting will be much lower. 70 seconds to midnight, 60 seconds perhaps, even 50. Who knows? Let's just hope that by the time you'll have grown some grey hair, gotten married or smoked some weed. Only time will tell. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to proceed from where I left in the previous episode, that is episode number 32B. Instinctively 5 meters to the campus Jewel H. Wing lecture halls, I darted into a German Tamiya 32-29-1 track. They untrained me for such deployment in Afghanistan. I grabbed the side railings and lay flat with my eyes pinned at my wristwatch, counting 1, 2, 3. That, I believed, took the sniper by surprise. Until then, he had opened no fire. 45 seconds to a signboard pointing toward Greenwich Hospice was the time taken by the Tamiya. Gun in hand, I started out of the track just at the front of his gate to the hospice. In the meantime, Dawson Miles was busy sliding down along the steel pipe. I doubted he would catch up with me though. The cobalt rifle angled at me. "Watch out, Miles," I whispered over my earpiece. "Mount the train," he returned, gasping for air. "Drop it, Miles. It's moving too fast." As though he had been expecting such a reply, Miles returned. "The only option you've got. Play it quick." "Undoubtedly suicide," I said, weighing options. "Grab the dog ears," I say. I was no stranger to such risky undertaking, but for all it was worth, to sprint off at a high-speed German express train was to challenge God and the universal laws of motion. If I should have been scooped and flattened dead by the approaching locomotive, no one would have mourned me. I was sure. "I'll pass that," I returned as quickly as Miles had requested of me. "I beg your pardon. This is an ICE, Miles, unless you want me torpedoed against the rails." Rounding the corner at a parking lot, Miles appeared in sight and whispered, "Strong point, but trust me," over the earpiece, while he waved on rejection for my excuses in short strokes. No reply could have been more puzzling. Yet in one word, I said, "Okay, I see it at 50 meters to position now," said Miles, blindly opening fire at the sniper. Madness. It had to be. If I was to die in Berlin, it would be by that train. A puzzle presented before me by the very same men who had been watching me for 9 years at medical school. With John Taylor and Dawson Miles in pursuit of the sniper, I come to the end of my today's episode. Please hit the subscribe button below to support the channel.